Ladies and gentlemen, it is time. Grab a cold one, crank up the volume, and join the show. Welcome to NBNR Live. And here we go.
It's no block, no rock. We are no block, no rock. This is Cornhusker Counseling, where trauma dumps are encouraged. And I think we're going to be doing a lot of dumping today.
Yeah.
What do you think, fellas? A lot of dumps?
I think it's well-deserved. Well-deserved dumping.
This was supposed to be a November to remember. And it still might be one to remember, but not the good remember.
Oh, yeah, there's no
Right?
way I forget what happened yesterday.
Right.
Goodness.
November has officially started, and I don't know if you guys know this or not, but in the rule era, he has not won a game at Nebraska in the month of November. And that still stands after yesterday's game.
Yeah, I think I've heard that a few times.
There's going to be, plenty of traumas, a couple triumphs to go through.
So that's what we do here, guys, is we treat this like it's a therapy session. You know, you're sitting there, you're feeling some type of way. We, as your counselors, also feel some type of way, even though, you know, counselors, they try to be, neutral arbiters as much as they can be, but that is not us, okay?
Sure.
We are the fan counselors here. Now, the way our format works is we talk about triumphs or any positive things that we might have seen from this Husker team. I'm going to throw it to any one of you. Any good things that you saw from this horrible game?
I'm taking it from you, Jared. I'll start it off with the triumph of Brian Buschini. We talked about this right before we went live. Dude had a solid game. I'll say the only trauma from Brian Buschini was his post-game presser where he said, "Hey, if you point the finger at someone, you have to remember there's 3 fingers pointed back at you."
That's true. Listen, he's not wrong.
It was
He's speaking truth, baby.
yeah. It was just a strange thing. But
do you know why I didn't hear that? Because I don't even listen to that crap anymore. I don't even listen to it. They trot him out there, and they just got to get through it and say stuff. So
yeah, part of what I talk about today is my experience. I went and I filmed the game yesterday, so I actually went in person to the pressers to kind of help out some of the Hurrdat Sports squad. So yeah, so everything that I talk about today is probably just going to be from my experience and what I was seeing down on the field and kind of like being closer to the players. But yeah.
triumphs, good things. What do you think?
Isaiah Nayor looked decent.
Yeah.
He had a few catches.
He had a few catches. I think a lot of his catches were when they were playing soft zone, and but I think there's still issues of getting off of man coverage and getting yourself open. Not saying that Dylan didn't miss throws, but I'd say, yeah, Nair overall, though, if you look statistically, he and Ja'Cory Barney both had decent days.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That was going to be what I said was Ja'Cory Barney. The thing that needs to happen is you got to get him moving. You got to get him moving. He weighs 20 pounds.
Yeah.
If you line him up at the line of scrimmage, just like a normal wide receiver, he's going to get jammed and not going to be able to do anything. Get him moving pre-snap, right? Get him on the run.
Yeah.
And I think there was a little more of that than we've seen like these past few games with him. Keep doing that.
Yeah.
We have to get to a super chat really fast.
Okay.
We are in the triumphs. Our good friend Coach BA said, I actually feel stupid for thinking this team was different at 5-1. I might not know ball anymore. This is not the team I thought we had in Lincoln. BA, you feel the same way I think most of Husker Nation does right now. I think this team has given this fan base fool's gold and these expectations that we probably shouldn't have set for them in the first place. But it's one of those things, like after you see the team that played against Colorado and where we're at now, the regression is just
it's staggering.
It's insane.
Yeah. And while we're on triumphs, because we don't have a whole lot, the officiating. Let's give it to the boys in the stripes.
Yeah.
They tried. They tried to give us the
They
game
really did.
on multiple occasions, and we said, we don't want it. Quit trying to
Take
give us the
that.
game.
Yeah, we don't. Hey, stop doing us favors for once.
The boys in the stripes. I mean, there really wasn't. I mean, besides like the amount of timeouts and the reviews. And
The media timeouts are pretty rough. They had to
Oh,
sneak
my
in
Lord.
all those political ads yesterday. So, gosh, if you were in the stands
Oh,
or
man.
on the sidelines with a camera, the amount of media timeouts was miserable.
I've never seen anything like that.
It was insane.
You know, question for you guys. All these political ads you're seeing, it's changing the way you're voting, right?
Absolutely not.
Okay, just to make that clear.
Yeah.
It's not changing anybody's mind. Everybody's mind is already made up. Just cut the crap already.
I heard that like those business or those political affiliates are spending like $500,000 to have these games.
Burning the money, burning it.
Yeah.
So-
They're literally taking a hot steaming deuce on all this money because it's not being productive. Okay.
Speaking of a hot steaming deuce, Nebraska played UCLA yesterday.
Well, hold on. No. There is one more triumph. I'm sorry. There is one more. But it's going to segue beautifully into traumas. I promise you. Husker fans, still a triumph. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what any former players say about you. If they express their disappointment, you showed up to this game where if this was literally any other team in the country, that stadium maybe has 30,000 people in it. Okay.
Okay, it's not
Now-
as bad. It's not as bad as Florida State, but if you saw any of the scenes from Florida State this past weekend,
Mhm.
not good.
Husker fans, triumph. Now, I'm going to throw it over to you, Mike, because there was an interesting exchange
Yeah.
or tweet. Do you need to pull it up?
I'll pull it up and I'll read it word for word.
Okay.
And it's like a whole thread, but I'll just read the
It's-
first one
it's
and
a
we
lot.
can talk to it because this is why we are counseling, guys. We are trying to find triumphs and traumas, and we're saying the Husker fans are a triumph because we always are a triumph. We show up no matter how bad the team is. And yesterday, I won't say the crowd was electric. It wasn't Colorado-esque, but once again, Husker fans show up, they get loud. You have to also give them a reason to stay in the game. That's any college football team. But we'll get into former linebacker at Nebraska, Colin Miller. I know I'm going to have a lot of hate for this one. You are. But I just have to say it. While it's fresh, today is the day that I was disappointed. Disappointed in Memorial Stadium. Today we had a chance to clinch a bowl game as we took on a 2-5 UCLA team. We needed one win to clinch a bowl game after, 7 years? Why? From the start, was it so damn dead? No buzz, no energy, no sort of electricity going through the air from kickoff to us being down 7 with 2 minutes to go. We had home field advantage, and it did not feel like it was whatsoever. I am sorry, Twitter, but we had people asleep, literally asleep in their seats, regardless of the score. You're one game away from a bowl game. We had fans on Twitter right in front of me, Twitter scrolling rather than watching and cheering their Huskers on. Halftime comes around, and I walk around a little student section, flooding out the gates, 13-7. And I asked them, you guys, you're coming back, right? As a majority of them responded, why the hell would I come back?
Perfect response, by the way.
That's a fair
LMAO, maybe because your football team is only down 6 points and needs your help to go to a bowl game. So they stop being the laughingstock of the Big Ten. Are we proud of this, Husker fans? Sitting here while your team is down one possession game and we are in your backyard at Memorial Stadium? This picture was taken with 2.5 minutes left, and it's a picture of Memorial Stadium thinning out in the crowd. Still pretty full, in my opinion. You think UCLA is thinking this team needs one more to win? Do you think UCLA is intimidated by this?
Okay.
I'll leave it at this. We didn't play well. I get it. Offensively, defensively, we did not play well up to Nebraska standard. But what I saw today, I just wish we had a fan base that looked the way we did against Colorado and where fans were losing their voices and not sitting all game.
Right. Okay.
Ridiculous.
The game starts. I'm on the field. The flyover happens, which was
Cool.
super cool, super loud. It was crazy. Kickoff. The crowd is in it, screaming, "Ah!" Right? And the first thing that happens is an 8-minute drive by UCLA that ends in a field goal. Like, of course. You allow them 8.5 minutes to go down the field and score. They set the tone, right? So now, okay, everybody's good. Now you're supposed to be quiet. Nebraska's on offense. You're supposed to be, okay, everything's good. 3 and out.
Yep.
From that moment forward, the whole stadium was like, okay, here we go. That's what happens. It used to be under Scott Frost where it was like, okay, the game is good, everything's fine, and then that one thing happens and the air just lifts right out of the stadium.
Yep.
It was at that moment when we went 3 and out that the entire stadium realized we didn't show up.
Well, I think Colin Miller might not have been in the stadium. I don't believe he was the way he's talking. Mike, like you said, sure, the student section emptied out. I mean, by the mid-third quarter, it was like half full.
Right.
But still, like going from the mid-third quarter even into, the mid to late fourth, there were some moments where that stadium was pretty damn loud.
I mean, it wasn't like electric, just the standard of Memorial Stadium. It wasn't there.
I'm not comparing this to the Colorado game.
Right, yeah. I mean, you can't, and that's the thing. He's comparing it to Colorado,
which is one of the most electric environments we're going to see all year.
Right. And do I disagree with him that the fans should have been that juiced? Jared said it last week that this is the opportunity for Memorial Stadium to have that Colorado-esque type environment, make it hostile, and make it, make your home field advantage known. Mm-hmm. But that didn't happen, but it also wasn't the reason why Nebraska lost the football game. They got out-coached by a running backs coach. Who I said was the most unqualified coach in the Big Ten.
Beat us.
Which direction is that trash can?
Now Matt Rule, it's not in here. Oh, there he is. Now Matt Rule is 0-3 against first-year head coaches at Nebraska. Yeah. So, it's a slow burn. It's a long build. All these things, right? But how come these first-year head coaches continue to have our number?
Yeah, it's not a long burn for them. No, it's not a slow burn for them. They come out and they're winning.
Yeah.
We've trusted the process for years now. With Matt, it's been a year and a half. But we bring in Dylan Reiler. We bring in a 5-star QB. We bring in these very talented receivers. And we're still on this slow burn? Like, how slow is this?
Well, it's a simmer. That's just a simmer. Okay. Simmer Timmer. Going back to Colin Miller's comments, guys. Well, why is it always us, the fans, that have to carry this freaking program? Why are we Sisyphus in Greek mythology? You know who Sisyphus is?
No.
He's the guy that pushes the boulder up the mountain forever. That's us. Why is it on us? Colin Miller, you say in your tweet, we needed one win to clinch a bowl game after 7 years? Why, from the start, was it so damn dead? No buzz, no energy, nor sort of electricity going through the air. I saw that from the team.
Right.
Exactly.
The team is dead.
Right.
I think it's very telling that this is coming from a former player who, how many bowl games did he play in?
0.
None.
Freaking 0.
Well, so he's an expert in this.
Right. He's an expert in blaming the fans, apparently.
It's very telling how a former player sees the game and what's happening, and his first instinct is to go, fans, what the heck? No, are you watching the game? That's your first instinct.
It is not the fans'
Amazing.
job.
Isn't that very telling?
It is not the fans' job to make a play. If you want the crowd to get loud, make a play, and they will. I promise you.
I'm getting very animated here. It's very indicative. It's very telling that a former player, this is the route that they choose to go to. This is who they blame.
Yeah.
And you wonder why this program is soft and they're struggling, dude.
Yeah.
And they're a roller coaster. They're a yo-yo. They're up and down and up and down and down and down and down and down and maybe up a little bit. Then they go back down. I think that's our chef's kiss of the week. Is this
tweet?
It's so perfectly encapsulates everything that is wrong with this program.
Right.
To me, this is perfect.
And then you've got like the Will Compens of the world tweeting, I'm very sad Nebraska lost today. Join the club, buddy.
Yeah,
you've got no skin in it. It doesn't matter. Colin Miller, you didn't make any bowl games, and you're somehow blaming this fan base who supported you when you were 3-9. 3-9, and they still filled your stadium.
Yeah.
But Mike, they were the best 3-win team of all time.
Don't care. That is disgraceful as a former player to go in and point your fingers at the fan base. This fan base that has been supporting this program that's been on life alert for so long.
The one consistent in the history of Nebraska football, wins, losses, the one consistent is the fans. They're always there. They're always there.
The most passionate fans in college football.
And somehow that's the problem.
And we're the problem. We're the problem that you guys couldn't get off the field for 7.5 minutes.
Yeah.
We're the problem that we went 3 and out. We're the problem that we can't hire a competent play caller.
Right.
That's our problem.
Right.
And when the fans are sitting in the stands and we have better clock management skills than this entire staff and everybody in the fans, I'm looking around me. Everybody's going like this. Everybody's moving their hands saying, come on, we got to go. We got to move. We got to move. And we are in full huddle mode when we're down 2 scores and it takes us 3.5 minutes to get 9 yards.
Okay, we're spiraling a little bit here.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Let's get some organization.
You're right.
We're spiraling a little bit. Everybody just take a breath.
Oh,
Lovely.
Man. It's just wild.
It's crazy.
We are, but because we're not only passionate, we're not only a passionate fan base. We're very knowledgeable.
Yes.
So that's why I'm very upset with those comments because I'm sorry. Like, I think we've watched a lot of football in our day. I think everybody in the stands know that, hey, when you're in a certain situation, you probably need to speed things up.
Well, like I've made this comparison 100 times. There is like the blackjack handbook.
Yep.
If you sit at a table and whatever the cards lay out, you can usually ask the dealer like, "Hey, what's the handbook say?" And he'll tell you, "Oh, the book will tell you to hit here." That is the same way with football. Just universally across the board, you'll see a situation in football, and generally, any fan that has any knowledge on the game will say, "Hey, you're supposed to call a timeout here.
Yeah.
Hey, you should probably hurry up here." It's a handbook. It's just a universal handbook for most situations that you should be making this decision. It just seems like we can't read. We can't read the handbook.
It's crazy because if you were in that stadium on Saturday, the crowd was reading it for you. They were reading it aloud to you.
Yes.
It was loud. I think it was some of the loudest moments on the game were when the crowd was upset with what was going on.
Which was super irritating because the offense, like our fans are smart enough to know that you need to not be so loud when the offense is on the field. Mm-hmm. But everybody and their mom was talking about how you need to speed up. Yeah. So everybody's saying it at the same time, and it's getting so loud in that end zone.
Yeah, it was. And the players down on the field,
they're all going like this.
They're going like this. They're trying to shut everybody up, and everybody's like, "No, you need to go. Right. You need to go.
You should not be in the huddle anyways."
Right.
Like, especially now in college football where the comms are in the helmet. And you guys practice, I would imagine, I don't want to assume anymore.
Don't assume anything.
But I would imagine that you guys practice 2-minute drill a lot, right? And even though there's 7 minutes left in the game, you're in 2-minute drill because you're down 2 scores.
Yeah.
And for some reason, this team looks so disorganized in the 2-minute drill. Wow.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk offense. Let's get started on that.
Yep.
Talk offense. I'll start.
Please do. Please, because I don't know where to go.
First 2 drives of the game. That 3 and out that we were just talking about, and then another 3 and out right after that. Mm-hmm. 1 run play to start it, 5 straight passes that followed.
Lovely.
All 3 and out.
Lovely.
So I'll start there. Once again, we are being told that there is a focus on generating a run game, focusing on the run. And to start the game, I know you guys are down 7, but guess what? You've still got 3 full quarters, and it's like panic. Oh my God, we got to start. We got to get back in this game. Slow down. Like, and you know what? The best teams we see this with, God, Iowa. We see this with all the good teams in the Big Ten.
Right.
If it doesn't work in the first quarter, that doesn't mean it's dead.
Right. Well, they have an identity though. That's the difference.
Right.
Though.
Yeah. It doesn't mean it's dead. Just keep pounding it, keep pounding it. And of course, as soon as it doesn't work on the first drive, God, we got to start throwing the ball. And then it's just,
what it took to actually have them commit to a run game was a pick 6. Mm-hmm. And then the drive after that, they ran at least 7 straight runs.
Yeah.
Okay. Now here's the thing though. Just because we want this team to have that identity of running the ball, that doesn't mean run the ball 7 straight times. Okay. Now, for me, I like that because I'm a caveman, simple-minded guy. Okay. We're not saying this team needs to run the ball 7 straight times, but like, if you get at the 5-yard line and you pass 3 straight times, like those 7 straight runs that you did before, like, cool, they got you there, but then you're going to pass 3 straight times within the 5-yard line? There's no identity here.
I've gotten to the point where, after the Indiana game, Satterfield comes out and says, we've got to commit to the run more. And we've had that conversation time and again about how this was what you build yourself as a year and a half ago.
Right.
And we're still not doing it. So my question is, I guess, mostly to you guys, but to a lot of Husker Nation, does anyone believe a word Marcus Satterfield says anymore?
No.
It's hard for me
done.
to trust anything.
He's a dead man walking.
I believe when he says that, gosh, you know, I should really focus on trying to run the ball more. Like, I believe that.
I believe he
but
had the
then you
intent
just don't
to.
do it.
Yeah. I believe he had the intent to, but he didn't. And so it's very hard for me to trust anything he says anymore because you came out and said it.
So, Mike, you said dead man walking.
He's a dead man walking.
This is for me. There's 4 people here, guys. Okay, I am just one of this. I am 1/4 of NBNR. I think he should be fired
Right now.
Like, we're sitting here. We should get a notification right now saying he has been relieved of his duties. That's me. I don't want to speak for everybody here. That's me. It needs to happen today.
Rip the Band-Aid off.
And look, the fact that I'm comparing anything that Matt Rule has done and Scott Frost did, say what you will about that whole tenure with Scott Frost, there was always a scripted drive. You could almost bet that the first drive of the game,
You're going to score.
you're going to score.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You could almost put your mortgage on it. And for whatever reason, we are not seeing any sort of resemblance of like, hey, this is their scripted drive. Now the rest is open
Kinda
game,
chaos.
right? The rest of it is whatever happens. But better or worse, you knew there was going to be one scripted drive. And right now, when you look at the play calling on that first drive, or you look at how the offense produces throughout a game, doesn't seem like there's any sort of like plan. There's no every single play looks like the very first play. Every
it
single
looks like
one.
they're throwing darts at a dartboard. They're like, yeah, let's try that one.
Sure. It's a middle school kid with a controller playing NCAA 25.
Yeah.
Just like, this might be fun.
Right.
That's what it is.
You talk about the 7 straight runs. What was more annoying, and this falls on Sat and it falls on Barthel and everybody else, but like, so Ramir goes in, has 2 good, positive runs. Immediately gone off the field, get him off, and he was running well. Every time Ramir touched the ball, he was running well. They bring in Dowdell, he does okay. Then they bring in Emmett. They bring in 3 running backs on that same drive. Name a team in college football that runs 3 running backs in the same drive. What are we doing?
Right.
This rotation, it's a nightmare.
It is.
No rhythm.
Well, and that's where my point was going with, like, every single play seems like the first play of the game.
Yeah.
Because usually you watch on Saturday, you'll watch a good offensive team. They'll start to roll. They'll start to like, all right, they're gaining momentum. They're gaining momentum, but that will never happen if you've got a guy that's been sitting on the bench for 3 minutes. He's coming on. Then you rotate the next guy on. Then you rotate the next guy on. There's nobody catching any sort of rhythm. Every single play is a new set of people, and every single play is just like the first play. It just never you never see Nebraska look like they're starting to get on a roll.
Yeah. So I've got a trauma that nobody's going to know about. A guy that we tailgate with, John, he went down at halftime. At halftime, they always bring kids down and go give the players a high five coming out of the tunnel, right? Mm-hmm. They were down there. There was a probably 73-year-old man next to him wearing his 1997 national champions jacket, all these things. Coach Raiola, Donovan Raiola, walks by and he says, "Hey, coach, get these guys to block better." And Donovan Raiola turns around and gets in this old man's face and tries to come at him.
Ooh.
Oh, no.
And it's one of these things that other Husker fans are sitting there. They're seeing this. This is a 73-year-old man that's seen a lot of good football. Mm-hmm. And you're a coach at the University of Nebraska at a Power 5 school, and you have the audacity to turn around and not just ignore the fan, right? Or just be like, hey, we're trying our best. We're going to get out there in the second half to actually go at him. And
that's not a good look.
It's just not a good look. I think there's a lot of issues going on inside that locker room. Well, and I think it starts in the offensive side of the ball.
Well, and I can tell you, just based off of, I had to wait for the team to exit before I could cross and get to the workroom for photographers. And I think the team is literally in shambles. I just watching how everybody walked off the field. Thomas Fedoni, there's kids yelling like, "Hey, can we get a glove?" Like, everybody's still trying to like high five and stuff. And like Thomas Fedoni's walking, his head is down. Of course, you had Ja'Cory Barney, who had that last like bobble interception thing. It went off his knee. It was a freak thing.
Right.
He's walking and he's doing this, and he's like, everybody there is like pouting, and it was not a good vibe. And I mentioned to you guys, like in the pressers with the media and the players, it was like a funeral in there. It was just pure silence. And I'll give Mitch Sherman some credit here. He was asking some pretty straightforward questions.
As he should.
And he's asking, like, you did not do this and you did not do that. Like, they were very like pointed questions. And I think once you start to see that, there's going to be some serious stress and some serious like doubting going on. But I think it's certainly constituted, but yeah, the whole vibe from the moment that game ended and I'm standing there waiting for these guys to get off the field, it was bad.
We've got a super chat from BA. Connor, you want to read it?
All right. So the BA coach sends us, I need to get in the mindset to run the football in this league. Quote, that was a quote. What the hell happened to that? He waited until it was 27-7. Pathetic. BA, I don't think anyone up here is going to disagree with that.
Absolutely not.
So going back to like the morale of this locker room, right? And which typically on a football team, right? Which player or position is the one that galvanizes the group?
Quarterback.
Okay.
It's always going to be QB.
QB, right? Yep. I think we're all in agreement there. You watch Dylan Raiola play this last month. We'll say the last month, not just this game, the last month. Looks uncomfortable. He looks nervous, overwhelmed, happy feet. Seems like after every possession, he's like limping off the field for some reason. Mm-hmm. I think that is just kind of like if your quarterback's not confident, like I kept saying to you guys, we need to bring in an alpha dog that goes into the huddle and says, we are winning despite your psychological trauma and all the scars that you've been through, right? Our widow team needs everything to go perfect or else we're going to break down. Our fans aren't good enough. Our widow fan, we need everything to go perfect. We need a quarterback that is confident in what they're doing and believes in what they're doing. And this quarterback right now, Dylan Raiola, does not believe. He's not confident, and that is trickling down to the rest of the team.
Well, I have something that like I had this theory during the game. If you look at a lot of the passes that we had were being caught at or behind the line of scrimmage. And as I watched him, I mean, we continue to see Fedoni getting open. We saw Nayor get open on a few deep balls. Mm-hmm. I think the short pass is his first read, and we're not even looking 5 yards down the field until we've looked through all the short stuff. And that's horrible. And I think that's poor coaching. I think they're telling him to look for the short, quick stuff right away. And that should not be what we're doing. We have these opportunities. We could have been throwing this ball down the field, and we didn't. And by the time there were several of them, that I think Nayor even had one of them where he was open, and by the time the ball got there, he very nearly wasn't. And it could have been a lot deadlier. I don't understand why we're reading our options this way.
Dylan's a true freshman. We saw moments like this coming. And again, once it happens in real time, it's very frustrating and it's disheartening to us and the team as well. Even when Dylan does like target a receiver that he wants to throw to, it's just not getting there. It's underthrown. It doesn't look good.
Right. It's bad footwork. And you would think that you brought in Glenn Thomas, who is a quarterback coach, right? Mm-hmm. Dylan Raiola looks like Kenny Pickett. Like that's where Glenn Thomas came from. He came from the Steelers. And I'm sorry, if you looked at the Steelers football last year, the quarterback play was really bad. You could say that Kenny Pickett probably doesn't have the best footwork. And you look at Dylan Raiola, and there are moments where you're like, wow, he might be regressing. And he is a true freshman. I hope that he is still the future of this program, but he needs a lot more help.
But yeah, so that was my number one concern coming in was like, okay, you've got this 5-star quarterback, true freshman. Do you have what it takes around him to help him produce? And now what we've had this conversation about like offensive linemen, defensive linemen is like, whatever you do not throw a freshman out there to get his butt kicked. Mm-hmm. Don't put him out there and get embarrassed. Don't let him get out there and just get dominated the whole game, right? And so as the season started, everything looked great. Everything looked great until we get to like Illinois, and all of a sudden now they're getting to the quarterback. Dylan Raiola's in a hurry all the time. He's rushing for his life. He's running all over the place. And you saw that yesterday. Dude is scrambling all over the place. Left, right. He's trying to avoid tacklers. I think what's happening here is you've got a confidence issue with your offensive linemen. I think immediately, as soon as they snap that ball, he's under pressure. Everything's moving 150 miles an hour. And that was my number one concern, was like, is there anybody around Dylan Raiola that's going to help? Because as soon as you lose that confidence and you've got guys running at you every single game, all game,
Right
of course you're not going to hit that 40-yard pass that's a guy wide open, because right now he's looking at that first read, 0.1 second, and he's moving on, and he's looking all over the place, and he's freaking out, right? So I don't know. I don't know what you do. I don't know how you help that, but right now it certainly looks like we have completely demolished any sort of confidence that he ever had. Because at the beginning of the year was fine. Everything was good.
Swagger to him.
He had a swag, right?
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, as soon as he started getting pressure up the middle, started getting sacks, everything started to go downhill.
It was interesting to me to see Hurrdat get 2 drives, maybe 3 drives.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in those 2 to 3 drives, he had more time in the pocket. I mean, talking 2 to 3 seconds per play. We saw more of that with Hurrdat back there than we did with Dylan, who had 90% of the game. Sure,
they didn't blitz.
Right?
Yeah,
sure. But I mean,
There's a time in the game where they playing prevent.
They were playing prevent. So
if you look at
tricky.
If you look at the stats for the game, they're way closer than the game ever was. This game was not close.
It never felt like it was.
The whole fourth quarter, half the third, the defense was out there in like prevent defense. Of course, they're not getting to the quarterback. Of course, nothing. But they were just making sure they were never going to get back in the game. And even though you did have a chance to go down and tie it, of course, after a missed field goal.
Miss PAT.
Of course.
Yeah, first one this year.
Of course. After that, that's awesome. They're just not going to let you just throw the ball down the field. So, yeah, they weren't pressuring the quarterback. They just were 100% into making sure that the big ball was not going to happen.
Isn't that insane?
Are you still laughing about that PAT?
Yeah, the PAT that makes it a set, like it literally makes it a game that you can go and win
with a touchdown.
Hey, touchdown. John Holt, you're going to kick a 56-yarder in front of 100,000 plus in Columbus, Ohio,
against a number 4 team in the country.
You're going to make
no
it.
problem.
You're going to
yank this. You're going to yank it. God, from the 2-yard line.
Okay.
I'm sitting almost in line with the goalpost. And I was watching, and I heard the boos, and I was like, "Wait, you're joking? He didn't actually miss that."
Okay,
right?
no, okay, I'm sorry.
There were Husker media staff like running over to the other ones, like, "Did he miss that?" Like, yeah, he did.
Why are we surprised? Okay, just going back to like this offense, right? UCLA, a lot of blitzes, and most other teams have answers for these.
Correct.
Like, whoa. It's weird that defenses blitz sometimes. It's kind of a thing.
And if it works, they keep doing it.
And what's one way that you can beat a blitz?
Cross routes,
slants.
Little
slants,
screens.
Now
he didn't run a screen yesterday.
I don't recall one screen, but there's a part of me that's like, why don't you run a screen? And then there's another part. Oh, if you would have ran a screen, it wouldn't have worked anyway because your receivers can't block.
Right.
So what do you do?
There was a flat route to Thomas Fidone that went for -1 yard.
Yeah.
We just had the biggest super chat we ever had on this podcast. I have to stop it. This is awesome. But shout out to Adam. He said this is hands down the best Husker football podcast with a 1999.
Hey, appreciate you, Adam.
We appreciate
Love you.
We appreciate everybody listening to us live here from Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Make sure you guys come out here. Check out the Sunday slate. I think the NFL games will be a lot more enjoyable than the game last night.
Yeah.
Anyways, back to standard programming. But shout out Adam. Thank you,
Adam.
Make sure you follow us.
I don't know you, but I love you.
Cheers.
Yeah. If it wasn't for, gosh dang it, what's his name?
Are we talking about Fidone?
Well, okay. So horizontal is hell. Hell is horizontal. Okay. We're still doing this play with Fidone. We're still doing it. Wasn't it the first quarter?
The little flat route.
Flat route.
The flat route where he gets to run east and west.
And I'm watching from my television. You guys probably from the stands
yelling.
I don't know if you heard the same thing that I did. Did you guys hear this?
The Tin Man.
The Tin Man running left to right. Yeah.
We're still doing it. We're still calling this play.
We ran it twice in that game.
Sat. Have you gotten a notification yet?
No, I will say.
Why?
I'll say right now,
Sorry.
if anybody from the administration is listening, I will make a $100 donation to 1890 today if I get that notification today. If it's during the show, I'll make it 200. Like just immediately.
I don't see it happening, but it would be the perfect time to do it. And
It's
they
not
don't
gonna
have to
happen
fire
today.
him. They don't have to fire him. They could literally just relieve him of his duties as a play caller, let him coach tight ends, and let Glenn Thomas and see what he can do. Right?
Yeah.
You're going to have to be somebody. Garrett McGuire. Let Garrett McGuire try it. Sure. Why not? Wonder Boy.
Listen, man,
let Wonder Boy go in.
Okay, so two things here. if it wasn't for Oladejo, this offense would have done nothing. Okay, Oladejo from UCLA.
Yeah.
Who was Nebraska's best offensive player yesterday? Oluwafemi Oladejo was their best offensive player. Okay, and there's people that are going to be out there and say, "Well, Glenn Thomas, hasn't he called plays before?" If you do a deep dive into analytics, apparently Glenn Thomas sucks at play calling as well, even worse than Sat. Now, that's some stats that they've thrown out there. I'm just at the point where this team needs some sort of morale boost. I have seen like countless times in sports where you make a change, and for some reason, whether I don't know if they practice different, I don't know what it is, but you see a bump.
Like Mickey.
You see a bump. Like with Bill Bush, he takes over the defense a few years ago. You see a little bump.
Yep.
For whatever reason. Maybe they're playing weaker teams or something. I don't know. You got to do it because this offense is garbage.
I think the most telling moment,
and it's not going to change. It's not going to change the way it is right now.
Right. I think the most telling moment is you look at the time of possession, and guess what?
We won it.
We won.
Yeah. We won it.
We won the time of possession. Do you know why?
Because
it took us 3.5 minutes from the 8-yard line to get in for a touchdown.
Oh, yeah.
And if you recall, the only reason Nebraska had 2 of those touchdowns yesterday was because of stupid decisions by the defense for UCLA. You just mentioned it. The unsportsmanlike conduct gives them a second chance at the end zone. If not for that, we don't burn 3.5 minutes and get a touchdown and give us a chance to miss a field goal and then go down and win the game.
It's so bad.
It took 3.5 minutes, 8 plays to get into the end zone. It is just,
and they kept running it.
It's malpractice. There's no other team in the country.
There's no other team
in the country that has run into a situation like that. 8 plays for 3.5 minutes to get into the end zone.
When you're down 2 scores.
When you're down 2 scores.
Yeah.
There are high school teams that know how to manage a clock better. It's absurd.
And we've said this. This is the one big knock on this staff is the time management skills. Even wasting a timeout when you're down 2 scores to go forward on 4th down, to roll Dylan to the left when your best player is going right. Did you
on a
see
4th down,
on a
you're
4th
having
down,
your quarterback roll to
he's right-handed, and you moved him to the left side. You brought Carter Nelson in for some razzle-dazzle, right? You bring him in, you bring Ja'Cory in motion, and guess what? You roll your right-handed freshman quarterback who's been getting beat up all day. You roll him to the left to try to make him throw some ungodly throw that he's going to have to make. It's terrible.
And so, you look at, you've got almost 7.5 minutes to go in the ball game. And Matt Rule is asked at the end of the game, hey, certainly seemed like you guys took a lot of time to get into the end zone. At 7:26, the ball was thrown to Nair, and we're in the red zone. We're there. We're ready to go. And his response was, well, yeah, we knew as long as we got in the end zone before the 2-minute warning, we were good. What?
3.5 minutes, dude.
What? That is insane. That's insane. So, you guys are down 2 scores, and you're at 7.5 minutes, and you're sitting inside the end zone, in the red zone. And the thought process was, well, as long as we got in before the 2-minute. No, because even if that interception happens, Mike, you and I were talking about this, even if that interception happens, and you guys have any sort of better efficiency in that, any sort of rush.
Yep.
Maybe the game doesn't end there. Maybe you
get one more chance.
Maybe you make that touchdown happen sooner. Then you get a stop. They give it back to you. You go down. Interception happens, and maybe you've still got 1.5 minutes to go. Maybe.
Right.
Yeah. The black shirts get a stop. They kick it to the midfield, and you've still got a chance to win the game.
Right.
You've got more chances to win the game. To burn 3.5 minutes, dude.
Well, so here's my thing.
Awesome.
I know we're big transitive property guys here. It took you 3.5 minutes to get 9 yards. Let's say you get that ball back at the 25 or 30. All we need is 25 minutes on the clock to get in at that rate. Why would you waste time? We know we've been struggling on offense the entire time. There is no time to waste.
And look, I'll tell you, we've watched Nebraska in the 2-minute drill with Dylan Raiola. They've done well this year. They've done well in this 2-minute drill.
There have been flashes of
when they're in a hurry. They're go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very quick. It's hard for the defense to get set. And when you're going full huddle, and the defense is like waiting for you to get to the line of scrimmage.
It's so bad.
It's like, especially in a moment where you're down 2 scores. And the fans at that point were in the game. They were
100% in the game.
They were like,
Everybody was doing this.
Let's go.
Everybody was doing this.
Everybody was ready for something good to happen. The touchdown happens. Everybody celebrates.
Yeah.
And then they get the ball back. Everybody's freaking out, right? They get the stop. Now you got a chance to go down and win it. The crowd is in it. They're ready to go. And it still doesn't happen.
There is one thing that Sat has said in the past that I do believe in. Remember when he first got hired? What hill did he die on?
We have to go huddle.
I'm a big huddle guy. Big huddle man. Big huddle guy.
He says it's a dying culture in football, the huddle.
The huddle.
For a reason.
And-
Even when you're dying on the field,
And he died.
he died.
We
on
died.
the field. We died.
Hey, when we die, we die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you
Not
think,
if.
do you
when.
think at any point that UCLA defense is on that field and they're like, this has got to be some big brain move, right? They're doing this for a reason.
Right. Oh, yeah.
There's a method to
Like,
this
dude,
madness.
he's outsmarting us. He's actually taking away the
Yeah.
clock so we don't have a chance to score after they score.
Yeah.
Because if you watch UCLA football, they've lost all these heartbreaking games at the end of games where they've had the lead. So maybe they were like, wow, these guys are actually trying to.
Meanwhile, you've got still 70,000 Husker fans in the stands like, oh my God, this guy's an idiot.
Oh, my gosh.
You know, is there anything else on the offense? Because listen,
We
like
got 15 minutes left.
We got 15.
now we
I
haven't even talked about the defense yet.
One cherry on top, and it goes into time management really fast. In today's world in college football, you can have as many staff members as you want now. Why in the heck do we not have a time management coach now? Because they've proven it again.
Mhm.
It happened again. Guess what? Mom was wrong again.
I was wrong again.
This staff cannot handle the clock. They cannot handle the moments when things get tight. They get tight, and they do not know how to manage a clock. They waste timeouts. They're willy-nilly. They're slow, and they huddle. They need to hire not only a new OC and a play caller, not only a new wide receivers coach, not
running backs coach.
not only a running backs coach, not only a special teams coordinator. They need to hire someone who can manage a clock.
Yeah.
You know,
Well-
there is one position coach that you did not name. Why is that?
Well, that's because his nephew is our quarterback.
Okay, go on. Sorry.
I was just going to say, I don't blame them for calling that timeout on the fourth down play with Heinrich Harburg in. It's a big moment. Everybody's freaking out.
Sure.
I don't blame them for that.
I thought they called the timeout with Dylan in, and when he ran left and threw the ball when they had Corey go in motion.
No, so they called the timeout right before the 4th down play that went to, I believe, Banks. Was he the one that got the first down?
Yeah.
I think I might be wrong.
No, because
but
they came out of the
I think it was
timeout for the
Banks.
4th down play and they didn't get it. Because then you texted and said, "What a great timeout!" Or
No, I'm talking about on the last drive.
okay.
On the last drive, they burned that timeout so that they could get the first down.
Oh, that's
and then they
fine.
went
Yeah,
down. Yeah,
yeah.
I understood that.
Yeah,
So
I was talking about the other one.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I texted the group chat on
Yeah.
that one, and I was like,
What are we
Wow.
doing?
"Yeah, you guys called the timeout for that." Yeah, because it was like
Yep.
Dylan scrambling all over the place,
Mhm.
and yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Defense.
time management always been a rule thing, a rule issue for me, and it's never going to get better. This is who he is. He's not changing. There's no classes he can take. Maybe hire a person that does it for him. I don't know.
Yep.
He's going to suck at it forever.
Have them read the book.
Yeah, read the handbook.
Read the handbook.
Yeah, that's in a whole different language.
Well,
it's
yeah,
in a dead
obviously.
language that you can't read.
It's in French, and he's not fluent in French, so that's it. So we need someone from France that can manage the clock.
Anyway,
Defense. Jekyll and Hyde.
What's UCLA's quarterback's name? Ethan Garbers.
Yep.
So he's going to New York City to be a Heisman finalist. Yes.
Presumably,
Yeah.
the way he looked.
No, he's certainly going to get Heisman. He's going to be invited to New York City
He has to be, right?
for that ceremony, right?
Mhm.
Ashton Janty, whatever his name is.
Genty, yeah.
No, Ethan
Garbers.
Garbers.
Yeah.
And yes, I knew his name, but I'm doing it for effect. You know what I'm talking about. Everything looks easy. But even when it did look easy, he still zipped passes in there when he needed to.
Yep.
Tony White has been a net positive, but holy moly,
yeah,
you get these games, dude.
net positive.
I'm just so confused about teams. Like, obviously, we look at Indiana now, and we can say, I mean, in my opinion, definitively that Indiana is a darn good team. We come out after that and we take on Ohio State, and the defense looks spectacular.
Hold them 1 for 10 on third down.
Yeah, looks spectacular against Ohio State.
Mhm.
And then we come in to UCLA and Ethan Garbers. And
Ethan Garbers.
yeah,
Almost 220 passing yards.
in the first half, we were nearly outgained 4-1. It was like 268 yards to 71.
Yeah.
It was gross. I wanted to just walk straight out of the stadium at half, and frankly, I wish I would have, because the rest of that game was not much better.
You know, around Memorial Stadium, you know, like at the very, very top, the walls aren't very high.
No.
They aren't. So you interpret that the way you want to. And my season tickets are up there too.
They're way up
So
there.
just warning you guys, I'm sorry if you might see something after Wisconsin this year.
Yeah.
That might traumatize you.
Garbers accounted for like, let's do the math here. Like 270 yards
No, dude.
himself.
Yeah.
Listen, his completion
Lord.
percentage was like 120% because he went 17 for 15 or something, right? Come on, dude.
It's so
Why
bad.
is everything so easy? Like you get these games, and of course, Ohio State, they played great, right? But you get these games where you're playing a team that you're better than. You play down to their level. Their quarterback just makes all the simple throws.
RPOs?
And Eric Bieniemy, good on you, dude. Like he saw Jamal Charles out there and said, "Yep, picking on that dude right there." And then he gets out of the game,
Jeremiah
because
Charles.
Jeremiah
Not
Charles,
Jamal Charles.
Damn it. Jeremiah Charles, I'm going to play with my food today, and then he gets taken out. So hey, I want to give a little bit of credit, but Jesus, criminy. Am I allowed to say Christ?
No.
I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
Okay,
so.
I just did.
Well, you did.
Yeah.
You did anyways, but there was the space in between, right?
You know where I'm trying to get.
Yesterday was only the second time this season, I think, Indiana being the first, where we saw, a 3rd and 8 or a 3rd and 11. I was like, oh, here we go. Like they're going to dice it up. And every time they did.
Can't get off the field.
It was absurd. I'm like, we should not have to. I felt more comfortable on 3rd and long against Ohio State.
A little under 50% for third down efficiency for UCLA.
But that first half, though, was just.
They were
The second half they
5
played
and
better.
6 on third downs.
Second half they played better, but damage has been done already. The damage had been done. There's some fans out there that say, well, at least they battled back. And the fact that they played like crap to begin with, that should make you mad.
Do you want to hear a stat?
You shouldn't have to come back
Against UCLA.
by not playing like crap at first. Go on, sorry.
Do you want to hear a stat that will also make you mad? UCLA has not had a 100-yard rushing game.
Mhm.
And guess what? They got one against Nebraska.
Dude,
So
their yards per carry is like two yards per carry. And of course, go on.
they had 4.9 yards per rush.
Sure.
It ended up being 141. 50 something of that was that long run by
Ethan Heisman, Garbers, sorry.
And now here's like, this was like my triumph at the beginning for the refs. UCLA had 9 penalties for 62 yards. Nebraska had 2 for 15.
Yep.
So you can't even blame it on them anymore.
Can't use that as an excuse.
Can't use that as an excuse.
When you want to hear the one penalty that cost us is Thomas Benoni covering up the receiver and getting a flag when we need, we're going down the field trying to go and tie the game. And, of course we have a penalty that sets us back in a moment that you can't have a penalty.
Yep. Yeah. I just, there's no excuse that you can use for this game. And that's like, as a Nebraska fan, as like a general college football fan, there's usually in a game that you're supposed to win, there's usually some sort of excuse that you can point to. Oh, it was the refs. They did it to us. Oh, it was whatever. Nope.
Nothing.
There is quite literally no excuse for yesterday.
Point the thumb.
Yeah. There's
That
3
is
fingers pointed back at me.
Yeah.
1 at you, 3 at me.
There is nothing to blame besides this staff not having this team prepared. They said, you know what? Moral victories don't exist, right? We'll see how we play if we bring that championship mindset.
Yeah.
Let's bring the
Jesus.
championship mindset against UCLA. The 2-win UCLA team coming to our house.
Yeah.
What's championship mindset? What is that?
So after Ohio State, right? We give the team the benefit of the doubt.
You set the standard.
Let's see how they come out.
Building block.
Let's see how they play against UCLA. Then we'll know how to feel, right?
Yeah.
This is the launching pad game. Yes.
Yeah.
Have you? Back in 1986, there was a little thing called the Challenger disaster. Do you remember this?
Where are we going?
Yeah.
This was supposed to be a launching pad. Okay. What you witnessed was, it was a launching pad, and then Challenger disaster. I witnessed it on my television last night. And hey, launching pad, sure, you lift off a little bit, but then you explode into flames, and then you're dead, just like us inside.
I'm just
Jesus.
Yeah, I got dark.
You said, "Where's he going with it?" He answered it for
really
you.
illustrated.
Sorry, do we not feel bad? Yeah, I got to use a little bit of hyperbole to really sell this. Does everyone feel as?
Yeah, well, and what I don't like is obviously there's a lot of commentary of like, oh, they played so great against Ohio State, maybe they overlooked UCLA.
No,
you could have sold me on that if there was any silver linings throughout like maybe half of the first quarter, and then we see some adjustments and they come back to earth a little bit. This wasn't overlooking. We just got beat.
UCLA let you stick around. They let you.
Yeah.
It wasn't close.
Thank you.
It realistically, the game was not close. It says a 1-score loss, but it very well could have been 27 to what was it?
They were
touchdown.
They were up 27-7 at one point.
Yeah.
that's why stats are for dummies. Just telling you, because people that didn't watch this game the entire time from start to finish will go back and look at the stats, and they'll be like, well, see, Nebraska, they actually outgained them, and they had a more efficiency in this and that and this. They lost. They got dominated. This is like Colorado when we won 28-7, and we probably should have won by 56.
Mm-hmm.
This is that same situation, but flip it on its head.
Yep.
UCLA came into Memorial Stadium and dictated the whole game.
They did.
They controlled the whole game. What? Yeah, I want to know the excuse for this. I want to know. Somebody out there. Somebody in the chat. Send us a super chat for $20 and tell us what your excuse is.
Well, okay. Now I love that too. Matt Rule even mentioned it. He said, I don't like making excuses. He said, but we have played 3 teams coming off bye weeks.
Now it's going to be 4.
Now it's going to be 4.
Yep.
Okay. Now how many times has Matt Rule won out of the bye week?
0.
Frickin' 0.
So
I think it's 0.
So if that is some sort of advantage, why have we not won 1?
Why can't we bear
a bye week?
That fruit? Why can't we benefit from a bye week?
They get 2 weeks to prepare, right? So, and USC is going to get 2 weeks to prepare. And guess what? You're going to have 2 weeks to prepare for USC. Mm-hmm. And you have to go into their house.
Yep.
What's the excuse going to be this time?
And I guarantee you that game is going to be like a 10 p.m. game, Central Time.
Yeah.
Oh,
because you just played yourself into getting that late night football game that is going to just benefit USC. You played yourself into that.
Yep, you put yourself in that
This
position.
is your fault.
UCLA came from 2 different time zones, and they beat you at home. Now we have to go 2 time zones to beat them at home, USC.
Yep.
So we'll see. Out of a bye week.
We've got 5 minutes. Yes.
Now, I don't know if you guys want to take this in a certain direction. I'm going to maybe put you on the spot a little bit.
Go for it.
Your Timmer rating. Now, at the beginning of the season, I was at 8.2. After Indiana, just for craps and gigs, I went down to 6.9. LOL, haha. After Ohio State, I stayed at 6.9. After this, I want to say I'm at like a 4.2, but it's probably lower than that. I might be at like a 2. I don't like where this is going. In my opinion, that's me. That's how I feel. I'm only 1 of 4 here. I don't like the direction this program is going. So I'll throw it to you guys. You guys have a Timmer rating.
Trust in Matt Rule rating. Where are you at right now? And people that in the chat, we've got 350 people in here. Go ahead and put in your rating, like on a scale of 1 to 10. Where do you feel? What is your confidence in Matt Rule and this staff for the future, moving forward? To answer your question, Jared, I think I'm at a 5. I'm at a 5 right now. Okay. And that dictates, and I said this, I think, last time we asked you this question, that dictates what he does in the offseason. Because he's got to make big boy hires now. He really does. Or now. Yeah. But he needs to make big boy hires. I'm talking experienced offensive coordinators that have had a lot of success. Not people that you're just taking a chance on. Not your good buddy's son as the wide receivers coach. Like, he needs to make big boy hires. And you need to flush this entire offensive staff out. Except Donnie, because we can't do that. The Rail has actually run this program now. So if you're retaining Donnie, you need to hire a good staff. I'm at a 5.
I'm going to give it a 5.5. I'm still marginally positive, but only barely. And I think the only way to get me back up to above a 6 by the end of the season, 1, is go out and beat USC, Wisconsin, Iowa. Give me 2 of those, and you might push me up to like a 6.5.
Give me 2 of those.
Give me 1. That's all I want.
You give me 2 of those, and you fire Satterfield. Now we're about a 7, but right now it's a 5.5. I am only marginally positive.
The chat is booming with some really low numbers.
Yeah, I believe that.
Lower than
I
mine.
believe that.
Matthew says his Timmer rating's at a 1.5. Jason says he's at a 1.8. And one guy said, I'm at a 0. Get rid of Rule as well.
Whoa.
So I'm not trying to take that extreme. I don't think Rome was built overnight. And with this staff, Matt Rule is usually the big jump in year 3. Kyle, where's your Timmer rating at? You can't be lower than any of these people. So
Are you firing Matt Rule, Kyle?
No.
BA's at a 7, by the way.
Hey, and that from BA,
Yeah.
he was at an 11.
He said he was at
Okay.
a 9.9 until Indiana. So
I'm
Yeah,
saying
that's
okay.
fair.
I'm saying I'll stick to somewhat close to my one that we talked about last week.
Okay.
I'm gonna stick it like a 6.
Okay.
Boy, the rest of the season really does dictate, and what happens after the season really dictates for a lot of people. And I think he knows it. He does know it.
I want to wait, but my eyes. For years as a Husker fan, fellow Husker fans have told me that my eyes are lying to me,
they are.
and I am not listening to you anymore. If you guys are telling me that I'm too negative at my 2 rating, I'm not listening to you anymore. I've done it before, and I've considered you already. I'm done listening to you guys saying that I'm too negative.
Well, and
My
Jared,
eyes are not lying to me.
this is how we started our podcast. We started this podcast when half the fan base was saying keep Scott Frost, and the other half of the fan base was saying fire that guy. And we're almost, and it sucks because it's not even then a year 2, and we're almost to that point now where we don't know what's going to happen, but things have to change. We are at 1 minute left, so let's just use this opportunity.
Plug it.
Make sure you guys come out here to Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill for your Sunday slate. Go check out all the NFL games. If you aren't already, there's 360 people in here. Make sure you guys go follow us if you like what we were talking about. Follow us at NBNR Podcast on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. We're there. TikTok. We do all this stuff all the time, even if it sucks like yesterday.
Especially when it sucks.
Yes.
When it's good, when it's bad, we're here.
I do have a correction quick by our producer, Austin. Matt Rule prior to Indiana was 1-0 after a bye week, and I think that was Purdue. Right?
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It was
You're
Purdue, right? And
Yeah.
which was, I mean,
Yeah.
you could have lost that one too.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah, if that's what we want to hang our hat on, is that Purdue win.
Yeah.
Okay. Husker fans out there, Mike's already plugged us. We'll see you next week for Cornhusker counseling appointment.
Well, it's a bye week, so maybe we won't.
Maybe we won't.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see how we're feeling. Awesome.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.